Okay, we'll discuss about retinoblastoma now. So it is basically cancerous growth in the eye, and then these are the things which you are going to looking for to in this particular class. Okay, so coming to the epidemiology, it is the most common intraocular malignancy in the children. Almost 1 in 15,000 to 18,000 babies are affected with retinoblastoma without any racial or gender discrepancy. So it is like most of the cases it is in bilaterals. About 25 to 35% of the cases are bilateral, and average age at which it is being diagnosed is 18 months. So coming to etiology, it can be divided into two. So it is like one is hereditary and the non-hereditary. The hereditary changes or the contributes to 1/3 of retinoblastoma, and it is mutated by RB1 gene present in, and the RB1 gene is present it's present in every cells of the body, and this has a strong association with family history, and then they also have a risk of passing it to the next generation as well. In case of non-hereditary, 2/3 of the retinoblastomas contribute to this, whereas the RB1 genes is defective. Mutation is there in mutation of RB1 gene is only within the restricted within the eye, so there is no history of a family history and cannot be passed to the next generation. Okay, so further it can be divided based on the exposure. One is the viral exposure. So the presence of human papillomavirus sequence in retinoblastoma tumors is a major contribution, and they once the virus is there, they play a major role in the development of sporadic retinoblastoma. Next comes the advanced parental age. So in this case, when there is a when the parents give birth, or when the mother is too much age, they again have this the RB1 gene is defective. RB1 gene is the gene which tries to control the cell division. So it controls the cells from dividing too much. So those gene is defective. So this leads to cancerous growth. So coming to the pathophysiology, so the major reason why there is a retinoblastoma is due to the mutation in the RB1 gene. Okay, so these would develop when there is a mutation in the RB1 gene. There is a high percentage of lesion is developed, and then there is a number of multiple cells get multiplied. So this is going to lead, which had led to a genomic instability, and these loss of proteins gives the major need for a cell cycle control. So once these RB1 genes are affected, the entire cell division and cell cycle is getting disturbed. So this once that is disturbed, the oncogenesis occurs. So it is like abnormal cell division or cell growth is a cancerous. So that is leading to oncogenesis, and further ultimately leading to retinoblastoma in the eye. Okay, coming to the clinical features, the patient present within the year of, like, one who is presenting within the year there is a high chance that it is, most of cases are bilateral. So patient who comes after the or around the age of 2, the patient might be unilateral. Okay, so you will be able to find a leukocoria, which is a white pupillary reflex, and it is common in 60% of the retinoblastoma, and strabismus is common in 20%. So the patient will have pain because due to secondary glaucoma, which caused by retinoblastoma and the increased IOP. So the patient will also have a poor vision and the inflammation, and there will be inflammation, or there might be a pseudo-inflammation. These are the major clinical features in case of a retinoblastoma. So coming to the signs, so is an intraocular tumor. It is like usually looks like a dome shaped lesions, whether they may which becomes irregular, and then it is a calcification actually. So okay, so again it can be divided into endophytic tumors and the exophytic tumors. Endophytic tumors is, it will the cancerous growth will be starting from the will grow towards the retina. So in case exophytic, the cancerous growth will be there toward outside the, it is like grow outwards the vitreous. I mean the endogenic is towards vitreous, whereas exophytic is it grows outwards the vitreous. So that will it is like so in case of a endophytic, you will be able to see cancerous growth in the vitreous. It is like cancerous growth will be found from the retina, it will grow into a vitreous, whereas in case of exophytic, the retina will be above the, it is like the cancerous growth will be between the retina and the choroid. So it is like the you will be able to see much of blood vessels in that. Okay, so here this is a typical case of endophytic. So here the cancerous growth, it is like the retina is under the cancer, so the cancer is growing towards the vitreous. Okay, this is endophytic cancerous growth. Okay, so again coming to the international first we'll just go with the international classification. So then I have images of how exophytic retinoblastoma looks like. So first we'll just finish off the classifications here. So it can be divided into 5 groups. The group A is retinoblastoma of 3 millimeters in size or less, and it should be located at least 3 millimeter away from the fovea and 1.5 millimeter from the optic disc. Group B is again, it should be less than 3 millimeter to fovea. Then there is a juxtapapillary location which is less than 1.5 millimeter to optic disc. Then additionally subretinal fluids will be there. Okay, so then comes a group C. It has a focal subretinal seeds, then focal vitreous seeds, and both focal and subretinal and vitreous seeds again can also be found in together. So what is seeds? It is like in case it is a calcification exactly. So in case if it is a clump of calcification, then it is single retinoblastoma. So what will happen in case if though there is a dispersion or the kind of dispersion of the calcification, so it would go like a different cells or different particles, so that is called the seeds. Okay, then comes the type D. So this will have a diffuse subretinal seeds and then diffuse vitreous seeds both, and then it is like there would be both together would be found as well. So then comes group E. So the group E, you will be able to identify neovascularization glaucoma, massive intraocular hemorrhage, aseptic orbital cellulitis would be there. Then tumor there you might find the tumor anterior to the vitreous face, then tumor might be touching the lens, and then there might be a diffuse infiltrating retinoblastoma, and then there might be a thesis bulbi. Okay, so these are the 5 groups. Coming to the differential diagnosis, Coats disease is again one cause. This is like most cases are in case of a Coats disease, most of the cases are unilateral, and the mean age at the presentation is 6 years, and it is more common in the male. So lesion appears more yellow colored versus the chalk white how it actually appears in the retinoblastoma. Then there might be a telangiectatic and aneurysmal retinal vessels. Then comes a hyperplastic vitreous, so primary vitreous. So it is associated with microphthalmus, and it is often associated with cataract, and it is congenital. So usually the patient would have shorter axial length. Then comes ROP is generally occurs in the premature babies. So it is like premature baby when we uh, give an oxygen therapy, due to high dosage of oxygen, we can result in total retinal detachment, and the fundus can reveal a gliotic appearance of a retina. Coming to cataract again presents at the birth itself, and then the lens opacification is much rare in retinoblastoma. Fundus examination gives only the retinal opacification, and then their ultrasound shows no retinal abnormalities, and then there would be a increased echogenicity of lens alone. Okay, so here again, so this is again a retinoblastomic changes. So coming to the diagnostic test, we do a fundoscopy which reveals a chalk white gray retinal matter, and then there would be a retinal detachment as well. Okay, so and the vitreous and the subretinal seeding would be there again. So coming to fundus photography, again they would again you will be able to find tumors, and then you have to document it how with respect to fovea and the optic disc. Okay, you should document about the presence of exudative retinal detachment and vitreous and subretinal seedings as well. Okay, and this is how a exophytic retinoblastoma looks like. So it is like here the tumor is under the retina. So here there is no it is no, the there is no outward growth, whereas here there is an outward growth. So here, if this is the retina, the growth of uh, the retinoblastoma is towards vitreous, whereas here the vitreous will grow outwards the vitreous. So it is like it will look like this will lead to retinal detachment actually. Okay, this is a difference. Okay, so coming to diagnostic test, OCT will give a helps us giving a normal and abnormal foveal contour, and maybe sensitive to we have to look into the marginal contours of the fovea. The A scan and B scan reveals how the you can look into the how depth the or the how depth, or we can make note of the dimensions of the retinoblastoma. Okay, so here this is a fundus photograph. Here you are able to see a growth. This is in exophytic. This is how a exophytic will look like. So see how a endophytic is looking like. Here is the retina. There is a endophytic growth. Here in this case, here is the retina. Here there is an exophytic growth. Okay, so this is how it differs. So coming to the diagnostic test, we have to test for molecular testing shows a mutation of RB1 gene. We can also suggest for MRI scan of both head and orbit. This will show a cancerous growth with bilateral retinoblastoma, or it might even show metastasis again. Okay, so bone marrow aspiration would be there. This will tell you about the presence of malignant cells, and then we might also suggest for lumbar puncture, which again reveals about presence of malignant cells. So coming to the treatment, it is like we know in case if there is a vitreous seeding with gross anterior chamber involvement or neovascularization of glaucoma or orbital inflammation, then these are the two only treatments. So either we have to enucleate, and then we have to go with the chemotherapy. So in case when there is no involvement of anterior chamber or neovascularization, then we have options like chemotherapy, laser ablation, or cryotherapy, external beam radiotherapy, periocular carboplatin therapy, and then the final is the enucleation. So again, In case if there is no vitreous seeding, again it can have a tumor is, you have to measure the size of the tumor. If the size of the tumor is 2 disc diameters, then the treatment would be again chemotherapy, the laser ablation or cryotherapy would be done, external beam radiotherapy is done, then periocular carboplating therapy is done, and the final is the enucleation. So in case if it is diameter is less, then we have a focal laser ablation as a therapy. And these are the reference, maybe it should be useful for you to read. Maybe I request you to go read these things to better have a better understanding. Thank you.